Hello people of the internet, it's Amanda, and if you're new here on my channel, I usually talk about Japanese movies, dramas, entertainment. Sometimes I tap into other Asian pop culture topics as well, but one of my favorite things to discuss here on my channel is No.I. Now, to be perfectly honest, I had no plans to film a video anytime soon. There's just a lot going on right now and I'm just so busy dealing with a lot of things, but I told myself that if ever they release something, I just have to take a breather, sit down and actually talk about it. And surprise, surprise, they released something out of the blue last night. This is an addition to their #1 album in the deluxe version. The song is called HIRAKEGOMA and they released it as a digital release along with an official visualizer video on YouTube. Now, I've listened to this last night as soon as they posted about it. I've been listening to it a lot since this morning, and I do have a lot of thoughts as usual about this release. But before I start, I just want to say I love the idea of a visualizer simply because it reminded me so much of growing up in the 2000s with Windows Media Player, tuning in, listening to tracks and then choosing the visualizer that you have on a media player, what kind of colors, the waves and the sounds and all of those things. And it reminded me so much of this, the way that they released it. And it shows so much that I'm from the same generation as Shokishi and Jin. But aside from that, there's just a lot about the song that I love to just talk about and dissect. But before that, so let's just go ahead and give it a listen and then talk more about, my thoughts on this track. So let's go. That opening bass rhythm, I absolutely love it. It scratches my brain in such a really, really good way. What I like about the song so far is #1, again, the bass rhythm at the beginning, the switch up in terms of the beat, going from something that's very nice and chill, and then it drops into that bass line, rap line, all these other things. It's become second nature for No.I to release songs like this, where it's not just one genre. And they've been doing such a good job in terms of incorporating that into their sound as a group, that this track meshes so well with all of the other tracks in #1. And what I like about this is in the deluxe version, this is the first track before it transitions to Inazuma. And for some reason, it sounds like Inazuma's brother or sister in terms of just the kind of the sound that it has, but at the same time it also has elements from other tracks in that album as well, for example Nanka Heaven, Jelly, even Streetlights. There's some variations in this song that kind of reminds me of that, even if they're not exactly the same kind of rhythm and sound. And I think they did such a good job in terms of creating that kind of cohesion in that album, and coming into this track ties it all together once more. And another thing is this song, again, with HIRAKEGOMA, it means open sesame in Japanese. And it's that expression, and it kind of it is an expression that talks about opening doors and seems like opening opportunities, all these other things, which is so perfect given that this album is such a culmination of their current sound and that we're entering into the new year after an amazing first year that they've had post their debut. And this song is just kind of like a good interpretation of that. It's so far like that's the impression that I'm getting from this. And the lyrics are straightforward as it is. It conveys that it's not just them, but also their fans who are standing with them in terms of entering this next era or next chapter and coming, like jumping into that door with them and entering this new space of better and bigger opportunities and possibilities. Can I just say, absolutely obsessed with how like Shaw is just singing normally and then the beat drops and then we get that low bass once again. I've been loving how his low bass is just like he's been getting better and better at it ever since they started. And I thought that with Goat and then with Inazuma and then with Bon and then there are other tracks really like they have just shown, all three of them actually have shown a lot of like growth in their vocals. And knowing them from like being a fan of them for almost 6-7 years now and then discovering that they still have much room to grow as artists, not just performance wise but even just vocally, and even the way that this song is produced, written and stuff like that, it's just so exciting. And especially since the song is about, you know, entering this realm of new opportunities, it just makes me excited as a fan to see where else they're taking me moving forward as they venture into, you know, being No.I. And again, they do such a good job in terms of creating such catchy tracks, especially at the chorus. And then this beat switch up right here. And again, there's a lot of, like for me personally, the way that it connects to Inazuma is, you know how it is when they get transported into this different kind of like two dimensions of the real world and the video game world. And this is kind of like that parallel that's happening, entering into this new realm, stuff like that. And again, it shows just how well thought out and cohesive they have their concepts lined up, especially considering how Goat, Bon, and Inazuma are connected as the lead tracks. And it kind of like this is the main timeline, and HIRAKEGOMA kind of like branches out into something else, which is symbolic of entering their second year. I don't know, but that's just how it feels like to me. And again, there's that, like the beat switches are just insane. It's like whenever you listen to No.I tracks, especially their lead tracks, it always transitions into like, it's like you're listening to 2 or 3 songs, but it's not too jarring in a sense that it leaves you kind of like confused and lost. Like at this point, you kind of like get that this is their vibe now. There's always going to be a surprise when you listen to their songs or their lead tracks, because that's where kind of like a switch up happens, and it just shows how much variety they can do with a specific track. Like those lines, it kind of like reflects there's just so many ways on how they can do things and try things, but the goal is the same. It's always that kind of like, it leads up to a specific goal of being at the top, of being number one. And there's so many ways to do it and so many opportunities to explore it, but the goal remains the same. That's what I'm getting from that line. And I love this hypnotic visualizer. Reminds me so much of my childhood. And I'm so obsessed with like the bass rhythm that was in the intro and also at the back ending, that it makes you crave for something more. They've been doing this a lot with their other tracks as well, and I think it does such a good job of you wanting to listen more to their music, because you're like, that's it. I need more of that. I need more of that. And you can just kind of like transition into listening more and more into it. And I don't know, but this is another bop. And I can't wait to see like other people's reactions of it. I can't wait to see them perform this live. I'm wondering when they're gonna perform this, because I feel like it's such a good danceable track, but at the same time, it's not just a dance track. It's something that's so vibey to listen to. And as always, I didn't expect less from these guys. I was looking forward to their next release, and although this isn't like a full-on single with newer tracks, and this is just one song as kind of like an addendum to their already existing album, I don't mind it, because it's such a good thing that they didn't just keep this in the vault, if you know what I mean. I know that a lot of people have been wishing for them to release Streetlights. I'm one of those people. I absolutely love that track. It has such a streamable kind of like quality to it, but at the same time, like, I'm sure that they can release it anytime if they want to, but I'm really glad that they went with this one as well, because again, it really ties the album together. It has the elements of the lead tracks of No.I with the beat switches and kind of like a mixed genre approach to it, without it being too far out of what they've released so far. And again, just the idea of HIRAKEGOMA, open sesame. It's a magic word that is often used in like media for, magic and stuff like that, which ties in very nicely to the concept of Inazuma. But at the same time, it's its own thing. And it also speaks a lot to, what they want to convey through the lyrics of the song and just the messaging of it. And again, needless to say, I'm blown away. Obviously, this is coming from a very kind of like biased perspective as a fan, but at the same time as well, as someone who simply enjoys music, I'm just really, really happy that they're releasing songs that are so true to them, that is unafraid of being different, despite, because again, I acknowledge that No.I's songs, they're not exactly gonna be everybody's cup of tea, but I like that they're still pushing for these types of songs the way that they want to do it, not just because they're chasing after numbers or they want to appeal to what's preppy or trendy or whatever, but they're creating songs that is so true to their sound and how they want their group identity to be like. And as a fan, I obviously appreciate that, but at the same time, as someone who just enjoys music in general, I'd rather, like, with everything that sounds the same in most of the industry now, I'd rather listen to fresh sounds that would make people feel confused and think about it and go back to it. And I think that's what No.I is doing with their music right now. And I'm absolutely proud to just come from a fan standpoint, knowing that, and waiting for people to discover this themselves, So yeah. But yeah, if they're gonna release like a music video for this, I'm super excited. If they are gonna perform this live somewhere, especially with the year-end kind of like a music shows that they'll appear in or whatever, I am super excited. But with that said, so I don't know, tell me down in the comments below, what are your thoughts about this song? Are you looking forward to a music video? What kind of genre do you want them to release next? All these other things. Any 2025 predictions? I don't want to kind of like put out predictions just yet because I don't want to like look back on it, probably disappoint myself or over kind of like expect as well. But knowing them, they're just so full of surprises, so I don't know if I should do it. But anyways, let's just talk it out all down in the comments below as usual. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to my channel and you would want to hear more from me, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you again soon in a new one. Bye!